The night began like any other. The village was quiet. The market had closed, the streets were almost empty, and most families were already asleep. Among them lived a humble merchant named Yusuf. He wasn't the richest man in the village. His shop was small, his house was modest, and his possessions were simple. But Yusuf had something that money could never buy. He was known for his honesty. Whenever a customer found a small defect in something they had purchased from Yusuf, he never tried to hide it.
He would always tell them the truth, even when honesty meant earning less money.
One afternoon, a customer noticed a small imperfection in a piece of cloth. Yusuf immediately pointed it out.
There's a small defect here. You should know about it before you decide.
Most merchants would never tell me that. A little less profit with honesty is better than wealth built on dishonesty.
The customer smiled and bought the cloth anyway. Over time, Yusuf's honesty became the reason people trusted him.
One afternoon, an old traveler entered Yusuf's shop.
The man looked tired from his journey. Outside, dark clouds were slowly gathering over the village.
The weather doesn't look good tonight. You think there will be a storm? The river is already rising. I would be careful if I were you.
Yusuf looked toward the sky. The clouds had become darker. A strong wind began moving through the streets.
Yusuf thanked the traveler and quickly began preparing his home and shop.
That evening, the first drops of rain began falling. At first, the rain was gentle.
Then it became heavier and heavier. Soon, the entire village was surrounded by a violent storm.
Yusuf's family stayed inside their home. The wind shook the windows.
The rain struck the roof. His young son watched anxiously.
Father, will our shop be okay?
I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but Allah knows.
Yusuf looked outside again. The water in the street was rising.
Then suddenly, a terrible sound came from outside. Part of Yusuf's shop had collapsed. Yusuf wanted to run outside. His entire livelihood was inside that shop. His merchandise, his savings, everything he had worked for. But the storm was too dangerous.
So he stayed with his family. He could do nothing except wait and pray. Hours passed. The storm continued through the night. Yusuf remained awake.
His son eventually fell asleep beside his mother.
Yusuf quietly looked toward the window. He didn't know what the morning would bring. He only knew that Allah knew.
When morning finally arrived, the rain had stopped. The village was strangely silent.
Yusuf stepped outside
and froze.
His shop was almost destroyed. The front wall had collapsed.
Water had ruined much of his merchandise. Wooden shelves were broken.
His stored goods were soaked, and the money he had saved for expanding his business was gone.
Yusuf stood silently before the ruins.
People gathered around the damaged shop. Some felt sorry for Yusuf. Others simply stared.
How will Yusuf survive now? He may never recover from this.
Yusuf heard them, but he didn't respond. He looked at the ruins of his shop, then lowered his head.
It was difficult. It hurt. But Yusuf refused to let his loss destroy his hope. That afternoon, an old business acquaintance named Haris came to visit. Haris looked at the ruined shop.
This is terrible. I've lost almost everything. Maybe I can help you. I know a way you can make money quickly. Sell the goods without telling customers about their defects.
Yusuf became silent. He desperately needed money. His family needed food.
His shop needed repairs. His workers needed their wages. For the first time in his life, dishonesty seemed tempting.
Think about your family, Yusuf. You don't have to remain poor just because you want to be honest. I lost my wealth, but I don't want to lose my honesty too.
Haris said nothing. He slowly walked away.
The days that followed were difficult. Yusuf reduced his family's expenses. Their meals became simple. Some customers stopped coming. Some villagers assumed Yusuf would never reopen. But every morning, Yusuf worked.
He cleaned the damaged shop. He repaired whatever he could. He sold the few goods that remained. Some days he earned very little. Some days he earned nothing. But he never stopped.
Father?
Aren't you afraid?
Of course I am. Then why do you keep working?
Because being afraid doesn't mean we should stop hoping.
His son quietly smiled and helped his father repair the shelf.
Several weeks passed. One morning, an unfamiliar traveler entered Yusuf's temporary stall. He looked carefully at the goods.
Are you Yusuf? Yes. I've heard about you. From Kashakringyagi. From whom?
The traveler didn't answer immediately. Instead, he examined the item in his hand.
What? Ikat lag ditare. There's a small defect on the side. The traveler smiled. You could have hidden that.
I could have. But then you would pay more for something that isn't worth that price.
The traveler slowly put the item down. Then he revealed why he had come.
My name is Ibrahim. I represent a large trading company.
Yusuf listened carefully. Oh. We've been searching for honest merchants in this region. Why me? Because when you had every reason to lie, you still chose the truth.
Yusuf couldn't believe what he was hearing. The company wanted him to become one of their trusted suppliers. They would provide goods on credit. Yusuf could sell them and repay the company gradually. It was the opportunity he desperately needed. But Yusuf was still cautious.
What if I fail? Then you try again. Your honesty is worth more to us than your wealth.
Yusuf accepted. But his life did not suddenly become perfect. There were still difficult days. There were slow months. There were mistakes. There were moments when he doubted himself.
But this time, he had an opportunity to rebuild. Slowly, his shop grew.
Then he hired workers again.
He repaired his home. He helped other struggling merchants whenever he could. And eventually, his small shop became one of the most trusted businesses in the region.
Years passed. Yusuf's son had grown older. One evening, they sat together outside the shop.
The son looked toward the busy marketplace. Then he remembered the old storm.
Father, do you remember the night we lost everything?
I remember.
Do you ever wish that storm had never happened? Yusuf remained silent for a moment. Then he smiled.
I wouldn't choose that night for myself. But I learned something from it.
What did you learn?
Sometimes, we only see what we have lost.
We don't see what the experience is teaching us, or what doors may open later.
Yusuf looked at his son.
When life becomes difficult, don't let your hardship decide who you become. Remain honest, remain patient, keep doing what is right, and never lose hope in Allah.
Yusuf once believed that the storm had taken everything from him. It had taken his shop. It had taken his savings.
It had taken the life he had planned. But it had not taken his faith. It had not taken his honesty. And it had not taken his hope.
Sometimes, what feels like the end of your story may simply be the beginning of a chapter you cannot see yet.
So when life becomes difficult, don't give up. Don't abandon what is right just because the wrong path seems easier. Have sabr. Keep doing good. And place your trust in Allah.
Because losing something does not always mean losing everything. Sometimes, the most valuable thing you can keep is your faith, your character, and your hope.